Okay, so um, yet again, I apologize. I'm a few days behind. Um, been busy all weekend. So I just got through seeing, of course, the new Doctor Who episode. Um, Still debating on if I'm going to keep basically reviewing this season. Um, Not that I'm going to stop watching Doctor Who. Far beyond that. Um, uh, just whether or not I guess the content is mm, interesting to anybody that views the channel. But at any rate, I will do this episode. And the main reason I want to do it is the subtle backbone, as it would be, of this episode. Um, it's been a while since I've really seen. Actually, I don't even. Not off the top of my head do I remember Doctor Who actually really looking at the subject matter portrayed in this episode. It was seen a lot in Quantum Leap. Um, there were, I don't know how many episodes, 4, 5, 6, 7, but just around this. Not so much the specifically this. It was actually more around the, I guess, America style. More around what we dealt with here. But the actual root cause and all that was similar. And what brought it up in the episode was very similar. It was kind of it subtle hints. It's not pushed on you. The actual problem, as it would be in the episode, was very okayish. Um, but what the Doctor actually really went after, which he has somewhat gone after before, he always pushes, humanity and the right and the core of humanity itself. But in this particular instance, while he pushes that, pushes the fact, of course, the said bad guy in this instance really doesn't deserve to be called a human. The Doctor actually said, I preferred it better when you were an alien, which of course refers to the fact of they thought, or rather the companion, thought that, it might be an alien is what's causing this problem. And so when it gets down to it, and we find out, and we don't really know the start or the cause of this, the actual cause of what's going on goes back in the stated enemy or bad human or whatever the case may be. It goes back in his lineage for generations. But the whole thing of what the Doctor was pushing in his speech, which was very good. I mean, it wasn't heart-wrenching, as we know can be put out by the Doctor, and as we know can be put out by Capaldi. But then again, those are usually big, episodes. This was very, very good in the fact of the statement. But they were trying, I guess, not to push it too much by, well, not throw it in your lap. They tossed it at you and said, "Here, this is what we're going to be talking about," at the very start of the episode. So get into it. So they show up in, I think it was the 1800s, in the Thames, and when they step out, and the doctor, says that, "Oh no, we're not back where we belong," basically, which is where he aimed at, and instead the TARDIS said, "No, we're going to the Thames in the 1800s." But yeah, I mean, as soon as that was stated, our newfound companion immediately went in one direction, which don't think I remember. I mean, it might have been brought up before, but in this case, it was very blunt and to the point. So basically, the new companion is black, and sorry, apparently there's a fly in here, and she outright states that, worried that because she is black, that she's going to get hung or something, or persecuted, and that really doesn't get pointed out too much. I mean, the Doctor has had a variety of companions in the past, so in this instance, the Doctor shrugs it off and tells her to go change her clothes. So we proceed on, and we find the Doctor and his companion drawn to this freeze over of a sort in the Thames, and basically the whole stream is frozen over. Well, it's not a stream, but lake, etc. If you don't know what the Thames are, look them up. But at any rate, so they go out onto the ice, and the Doctor's sonic screwdriver is stolen, which he immediately gets, well, not immediately, but soon after gets back. And unfortunately, a child dies in the process. But of course, this is Doctor Who, so there's got to be something to draw the Doctor into a problem. In this case, it's a death. So, and of course, the new companion, she is, as she states later, she'd never seen death in person. And of course, the Doctor goes around the fact, well, we just saw death in the last place we were at, and they circle around it and dance around it and all this and that. And the Doctor actually states, well, he states his age. So apparently he's somewhere around 2,000 years old now. Of course, the Doctor does lie, as we do know. So we, of course, don't know actually how old he is, but supposedly he's around 2,000 years right now. And the companion she is very emotional. And she goes on to, well, how can you, be so heartless, etc., etc. And then she gets to the point of, well, have you killed before? And then we dance around this I move on thing. Which, as the Doctor states, he's over 2,000 years old. So, he's bound to have seen death. Of course, we all know this. And, of course, we do know that he has, in one way or another, killed some in the past. I mean, it's we all know this. Anybody that's a real fan of Doctor Who, knows, of course, about the War Doctor and all that. And for better or for worse, things that the Doctor has done has led to some people dying, whether it be through his fault or his actual doings or through people that he has changed. I mean, who knows how he actually sees it. But as he states, he moves on. At that age, if I was that old, I'd move on a lot. But I digress. The fact of where the storyline ends up going is basically there's a giant fish in the Thames, a big giant fish. Dang it, dumb fly. So yeah, and they find this out by actually going in. Get the Doctor. And as a matter of fact, his companion gets basically swallowed up, kind of. But not swallowed up. These little miniature versions of this big fish basically melt the ice for a minute. Long enough for a person to be dragged under. And then it freezes back over. Now, so they see the fish and etc. It's been chained down, and so it's basically being fed through this, random people going off on their own type thing, and then they get drugged down when nobody's looking. Now, through some investigation, the Doctor and the companion find out who's basically in charge. And then we get brought back to what we initially were pointed at in the beginning. And so basically, immediately when they get introduced, to this person, he immediately starts talking trash to the new companion. And this is right after the Doctor said, to her that, he needs to do all the talking, etc., etc. You get too emotional, so after this person insults the companion, the Doctor outright belts him in the face. I mean, boom! And that guy is down for the count. For the insult and what he was insinuating. Now, a little change up. The Doctor and, of course, the companion get tied up. And basically, the Doctor makes his speech. His long, not too long. He's made longer speeches, I believe. But it is very, very moving. And this goes over the initial, oh, I'm black. No. The Doctor doesn't do that. The Doctor goes even further and goes all outright. There is no such thing as any color, blah, 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 blah. I have a third arm, but, it doesn't matter. He goes really, really, really well. Honestly, some people out there do need to hear his speech, because, after his speech, and I think that some people would be moved. And, long, emotional outburst. And, it looks as though almost everybody in the room, at least the companion, is moved, and then it turns around and, well, unfortunately, the actual bad guy is not moved. And then, of course, that's when the doctor makes a statement about, oh, well, I liked it better when you were an alien, which was kind of funny. Because, he puts it to the fact of, and he states it, how can you, make such statements and still call yourself human, type thing. And he states something to that effect. And it's really well done. I mean, like I said, the actual scenario has been done plenty of times, but still, I think it was portrayed very well by Capaldi. His speech was very good. Whoever wrote it, and of course the actor, himself, bringing it out, very well done. But at any rate, so they move on. They get tied up, and then other things happen. Basically, he uses he uses his screwdriver to get himself untied. Gets himself out of that. And basically creates a run. So he has everybody get off the ice by saying that the ice is cracking, etc., etc. And then he uses the explosion because apparently the bad guy was going to go over there and blow up the Thames, or at least the ice, to allow the creature to eat everybody who was there. And the doctor basically, right before this happens, right before they create the run, the doctor makes another, it's not a heart-wrenching speech, but it's a statement that he's made before. To Clara, I believe, basically telling his companion that she needs to make the decision. He is, he tells her, he's like, mine is but to serve, or something to that effect. And for her to make the decision on, do I save the people? Do I save it by killing the monster? Do I save the monster? What do I do? And they pause, and of course for dramatical effect. And for a minute there, I was wondering, because she was more lent towards saving the people, but she turns around and makes another choice, and she looks at the doctor. He's over there. Order me what to do. Tell me what to do. What do I do? It's your choice. Basically here to do what the human says, type thing. And she tells him, save the monster. So now we're back at the point that, they're getting the people off the ice as fast as they can. Of course, we're seeing it from her perspective. And the enemy, the bad guy, goes to blow everything up. And he gets it all wired up and whatnot, and plunges the plunger down. And we cut our way to basically one. It's like, well, wait, there was no big kaboom. Where's my kaboom? And then we cut to underneath the waters, and the doctor has moved the explosive to the chains that are shackling the creature down. And every single time the bad guy plunges the plunger, trying to figure out what the world's going on. Some more chains get basically knocked loose by the explosion, or torn apart by the explosion, whatever the case may be. But at that point, the creature's free, and the creature basically swims away. And you hear, in the beginning, we heard the creature and its moans and whatnot when they were under the waters. And as the creature swims away, jumping for joy, we hear this happy song. And it's to be pointed out that this creature, from what the doctor is saying, is actually, and from what the creature looks like, it's actually some type of huge fish from here, from Earth. It's not a terrestrial of any sort. So I mean, it's let out to go and swim to colder waters, as the doctor states. And then they jump back in the TARDIS and they go on, and they actually arrive back in time for tea, as it would be, and as it actually was. They land, they get out, and here we go from, an episode or two back, and our little robot guy, I forgot what it's called, because his head is a person, but his body is not. So not an android, it's a cyborg or something like that. But he comes in with the tea, and he immediately sees that their outfits have changed, and he's oh my. So he starts being, basically mama, and starts getting on him, and the doctor is like, oh yeah, well, I'll flip a coin. And the doctor's like, well, we didn't go out, we didn't leave world and all this and that. Which was kind of funny, because the doctor was just dancing around everything. And then we cut back to the last scene, which is the the guy that served tea, the android or whatever it is, cyborg, talking to these big doors, and then there's a knock. So the foreshadowing continues on what in the world is going on, and what kind of promises the doctor's made, and what they are guarding. So we don't know what, but I guess give it a few more episodes and we'll find out. Well, I guess comment below if you're interested in me continuing this, and let me know. Also, if you have any suggestions. Until then, have a good one.